Good, bad experience, neutral experience. Good, very good, very good. Well, I went ahead and I sliced this up. As I said, not having the use of a full-fledged kitchen, just to kind of give you an idea. Now my seasonings, we have sage, chopped onions, Italian seasoning, chopped garlic. Also a seasoning called veggie sal, V-E-G-E-S-A-L. This is actually a seasoning with salt and a blend of different herbs and also dehydrated vegetables but ground up to a fine powder. We have sesame oil. This is going to give, pretty much add, kind of if you will, if you don't use too much, not a chicken-like flavoring, but it gives it a nice flavor. And finally, nutritional yeast. And all of these items, except you can get at your regular grocery store. The nutritional yeast, you'll need an actual health food store.
This is very good. It is
very good. So you all like the salad dressing? Very good, very good.
Matter of fact, if there's any left over, she can come back.
So if there's any left over, well, there's more. If anyone wants more on their salad, just raise your hand, and I think they'll go ahead and take care of you.
I have changed my way of eating. Since I started the class here October 1st, today was my first day having any meat at all, just one hamburger. But I asked that I get up in the morning, I have my 3 to 4 fruit, I have my oatmeal or my whole wheat cereal. But I have been a personal trainer for 5 years, and I was taught eat 5 or 6 meals a day, and that's what I have been doing. But now, once I eat my breakfast, I don't go back to the kitchen till 4 o'clock. And at night I have my salad, and it has been working. When I weighed in last week, I had lost 1.5 pounds, and I run a walk every day, and I don't do that anymore. I still do my exercise, but not too much. But there has been a big, I have made apple pie, potato pie, I made macaroni and cheese from cheese sauce, I made collards. I never think I would have turnip and mustard with garlic and onion. I said, I'm not going to eat that stuff. Believe me, it is good.
All right, all right. That's what we want to hear, that your experiences are far better than anything we can say. This I want you to see. Remember, we are what we eat. Now, some of you may not be pregnant with child right now. But this is literally what happens. Whatever we consume, if you are with child, that child receives that as well. But if you have children, most of the time, whatever the adults sit down to eat at the table, that child sits down to eat as well. Many of you, if someone were trying to break into your house and get to your kids, they would have to go through you first. For gentlemen, if someone was trying to get to our wives, it's a given, they're going to have to get to us first. And for the wives even, if someone was trying to get to your husband or your kids, not without a fight. Why then do we allow these to destroy us? Or things like this? Because they wreak more havoc on people every year than the number of people who are murdered. They really do. Not just this, but there are other items that are similar. You know, folks, we have the power in our hands. God has given it to us to take better care of ourselves. As was mentioned last night, God does not want to place any of these diseases upon us that were placed upon the Egyptians. But you know what? He doesn't have to if we're not careful.
Why do you think that people think avocado has high cholesterol? Who said that? Because it has the oil in it. That's right. Okay. Well, I want my husband to explain. Actually, let me show you all. Oh, we don't have the roving mic. I want somebody to read under avocado what that says. See if we can bring it to somebody right up front.
This sister was good, and how about it? She was good and clear. I want you to read right here on the avocado. What does that say? This is in the book we...
Avocado lowers cholesterol and fights anemia.
Very good. This is in the book. Those of you who ordered your books, we have your books for you tonight. Brother Bussey is going to be in the book that we give you all. Those of you who ordered the encyclopedia last week, now those who filled out a form this week, we should have that for you next week, provided you go ahead and get those forms in.
So what does it say? Avocado does what? Isn't that something? Completely opposite to what we think. Now the reason avocado, nuts, and coconut can raise your cholesterol, however, even though it doesn't have it, it can raise it. And I'm going to ask Mr. Parks to explain how that can happen.
Oh, I don't know. No. Notice, as my wife, she may have mentioned this and may not, but for the sake of just making clarity, when you consume a food item that's high in any type of fat, it triggers the liver to produce cholesterol. Now, the liver produces cholesterol because it converts that cholesterol into something called bile. Bile is basically an emulsifier, which means it takes the oils that are in avocado, the oils that are in, say, olive oil, which is a good oil. It emulsifies that so that the body can absorb what it needs, and it won't stick to the intestinal walls nor to the blood vessels as well. Now, if you eat too much of this item, it causes the liver to turn on and just start producing cholesterol to break down the fat. Now, once again, you got to remember, in and of itself, no plant item has cholesterol, but the liver is responding to the amount of oil or fat, you can use those interchangeably, that's being introduced into the body itself. That's what the liver is responding to. If you don't overeat and say avocado, as my sister read, avocado will help to lower your cholesterol. In addition to that, nuts such as walnuts and almonds will also help to lower your cholesterol. But say, for instance, if you just love those nuts and you're eating on those all day, what you're doing, you're constantly telling the liver, I have more of a food that's coming in that's high in oil. I need you, liver, to produce more cholesterol. The liver starts to produce more cholesterol to make the bile, which in essence breaks down those oils or emulsifies them. But at a point, it starts producing whatever is left over goes back into the bloodstream, thus creating an elevated cholesterol level. Is that making any sense to you? Because I can go through it again because it's real key that you understand that piece.
I want to explain the emulsifying a little bit more. If you had a pan that had oil in it and you just stuck it under the sink, would that clean the pan? No. What do you need to help clean it? Soap. Soap is an emulsifier. When you put the soap on that pan, then it'll break it up and you can get rid of that fat, right? That's what bile does in our body. When you ingest fat, you need some kind of soap because our body is mostly water, and oil and water doesn't mix. You need something to help break it down, just like when you put the detergent on the pan. Y'all follow me? So bile is that emulsifier. It's that soap in the system that helps break down the fat. And so that's why whenever you eat fat, that liver has to produce that cholesterol, which makes the bile, which thus breaks down the fat. Are y'all following me now? And that's why when you eat too much, you'll have too much cholesterol and it ends up elevating that in your body. Does that make sense to you all?
I'll get your question, but while the thought is on my mind, you will hear a lot of people saying, a lot of reports about the Mediterranean diet, and they look at people in the Mediterranean and say, oh, well, they use a lot of olive oil, they use it with everything. But in doing that particular study to determine the lifestyle of the people in the Mediterranean, what they also look at, or don't look at necessarily, these people do a lot of walking back and forth to wherever they need to go. They're not riding around like we are. Secondly, they're out in the sunshine a lot. And remember my wife mentioned to you that as the sun strikes the skin, it converts the cholesterol below the skin into vitamin D. So don't be fooled and say, well, wait a minute,